wrapped up insignificant details that could have turned into mountains. So, appreciate it. Michael, good morning.
Good morning, Ralph. How are you?
I'm doing well. All right, how about if we begin with prayer? Father, as we bow our heads before you, shut our eyes to close out the details of this day that are distractions, bulletins and snags and carpet, things that are not necessarily necessary or essential for worship, but they are important, and so we pray that you would calm our hearts and our minds as we gather here. I pray that you would give us understanding and openness, that you would help us to think through and to share and to adequately convey Sessional's attitude and decision. For Mike and his family, we pray that you would give us wisdom in the days ahead, that you would give Mike discernment as he faces situations, and Lord, that you would cause him to see your hand at work in his life and in his family's life. Thank you for Jim and Colleen and their willingness to put Mike up for a while, and we do pray that Jesus would be glorified, the Holy Spirit would dwell and empower us for sanctification, that ultimately at the end of the day and in the days ahead, you will be the one who is honored and glorified because you are the one who has worked. And so we thank you and look forward to that in Christ's name. Amen. Mike, I know you met with George Kelly on Friday night, and George shared much of what we were going to talk about since I talked to George Kelly after session met on Monday night. But there's no but. So, having said that, we spent a considerable amount of time, as you know, with your family in the last 3 months, and we've spent a considerable amount of time Monday night as well. And we came up with this motion that I'd like to read, and we can discuss, and you can, we'll just do some discussion around it. The motion was that Session communicate with Mike the clear boundary that he is not allowed to initiate conversation or contact with his family in the church building or on the church property. Okay, we'll explain why in a minute. Second part of it is if your family desires to engage in conversation with you, they must first contact an elder to be present at the beginning of the conversation and during the conversation. Okay? All right, so share with me what I just shared with you, and then we'll give you the rationale behind what we discussed.
I am to not initiate contact with my family, and if they want to initiate contact with me, to grab an elder so they're present.
Right, they would if they want to initiate it, not if you want to initiate with them. In other words, you can't go up to us and say, hey, I'd like to talk to Melody today.
I know, I did not repeat that back to you. I told you I am not allowed to initiate contact at all.
Okay, and so just...
I completely understand you.
Okay, all right, very good. The reason why we're doing that is because obviously over the last 3 months since we've been discussing the Grace thing, when you were at home and her situation and checkbook and all these things. I mean, I don't want to go into all the history. We could be here all morning on it. But the fact of the situation is that there's a pursuant desire to, even as recently as, was it last Sunday with Ben? Yes, you wanted to give him a chance to change his mind. So you talked with him in the hallway when I was there, and that didn't work. And then you followed him in the parking lot in a couple of locations.
No, wrong. That's wrong.
Okay.
I talked to him in the hallway. He made a decision. I said, okay.
And then?
And then, as I've been doing for the 18 years of his life, walked out with him.
Okay.
Walked to the parking lot. And then, yeah, I'm around in case he changes. Oh, yeah, I will. But the Whitneys, since they invited him to lunch, instead of Mick Whitney saying, yeah, you should maybe have lunch with your dad on Father's Day, he went to lunch with them. So he was motivated to do that more than have lunch with me. And I understand. But I wasn't going to stop him, and I wasn't angry. And then after Mick came and talked to him, I said, Ben, if you just say, I want to go to lunch with the Whitneys instead, it's okay. You can just say that. And then I left. Okay. And he was there to see that. Right. And I was very sad that this situation has become that way. And I take responsibility for my part. But it was when he said, no, I'd rather not. And you know, and you told me on the phone this week that I should hide my sadness and just take it like a man. Remember that? I'm sorry that, you know, it's like if somebody just told me somebody ran over my dog. I would feel sad in the moment. In the moment where he said on Father's Day, yeah, no, I don't have 30 minutes to go have lunch with you. I got stuff to do. I felt sad that the situation had become like that.
Right.
But I will hide that, and I will take it like a man, and I will not show sadness anymore.
And the reason why I said that, Mike, is because your sadness or tearing up or whatever can be viewed as manipulation on their part, that Dad's trying to change my mind to make me feel guilty that I should be going to lunch with him or whatever the case is. So that's
Don't worry, there will be no misconception. I will hide my feelings.
Okay.
It's, you know, what I observed was the discussion in the hallway. And then you guys left. You followed him out to the Whitney's car.
They were bringing stuff there, and then they were coming back for more stuff.
To roll down the window so that you could talk to him again. And then finally, they left there and pulled the car up to the kitchen, and you followed them in there. And then when I came in to the kitchen to see what was going on, you were gone from there. They told me that you had taken him into the sanctuary. So I went into the sanctuary. You weren't there.
I did not take him into the sanctuary.
And I think
He had to go use the bathroom. I did not take him into the sanctuary.
That's fine. But then the next time I see you is he's in his car and you're out there again.
Mm-hmm.
There was 3 different instances in my mind, anyway, that you pursued him. And like Ralph said, that there were a number of things that would constitute harassment. You were trying to make him feel pity toward you. You might
Only in that moment that Ralph was there, and I wasn't trying to make him feel pity.
And anyway, just the whole time.
I can see how you misunderstand that.
Well, it's not only me. Your family does as well. When you're pursuing Grace, the same thing. The amount of time that you captured, I can't tell you how much I thought Ben was respectful and honored you.
He was. I'm not doubting that.
Throughout the whole thing.
I agree.
And so that should have been enough.
Well, Ben, please listen. I'm not doubting his respect.
All right.
I'm purely saying I like to hang around with my son. Do you like to hang around with your son?
Sometimes, yes.
I'm just,
But
we hang around and talk.
This right now has become more than just you.
I understand. Well, that's different. But he said, no, I'd rather not. I'm like, okay. Well, I'm just there with you.
You should have turned around and left.
I understand that that's an option I could have taken.
Of standing in his face, talking to him.
Well, I'm guilty of missing him and wanting to spend time with him. I stand guilty as charged. Yeah. And I hadn't seen him for 3 weeks.
Now, what this is about?
But I understand. I understand what you guys are saying. I completely understand it, and that will then negate what my trying to spend time with him.
Although you tell your family that you're sorry, that you didn't mean to do it, and so on and so forth, it keeps happening.
I understand.
This becomes a way of showing that you can keep your word.
Mm-hmm. I'm not moving back into my home. That is another way.
That's only part. I think that through this method, your family will see that you can restrain and stay back. And then when they start to test you by coming in with an elder, and if it continues, then I think you'll be able to go back.
I've been tested a lot more than you don't even know. Colleen knows, and so I have already demonstrated this. I'm just letting you know.
I'm talking about, I know you've been tested, but what I'm saying is that you haven't proved it to your family.
I understand. Last Thursday, I could have gone to see my daughter dance. My wife said, initially she said yes at Thursday evening, or no, I'd go pick up my bicycle and stop by and give Melody a hug since she's home during the day. But then she said, no, And I said, okay. So that's one instance. She said, stop initiating communication. I have done that too. So I just want you to know that there's been a lot more than what you know about. Did you know that? No.
I was.
So I'm glad I could inform you.
Yeah.
So I am demonstrating.
Okay. But the biggest thing, Mike, is the people who are trying to help you and guide you. I mean, you and I sat and talked yesterday. I'll come back to people who are helping you and trying to guide you. Not yesterday, but 2 or 3 days ago when we were talking on the phone. I said, Mike, your positive feelings about yourself are like if I was to take my kid to a house and I say, don't touch the lamp. And they don't touch the lamp, but they touch the knick-knack and they touch the other thing on the table. They spill the coffee. They're touching things. And it's as if you're saying, but Dad, I'm progressing. I didn't touch the lamp. I did what you said. But you've made other messes along the way. And my point is that until you realize that I need to stop before I do anything, and I need to think this through. How am I going to be perceived? Will my family respect this? Will I be viewed as belligerent, harassing, carrying on, or how are they going to view me? And if there's any question in your mind, you need to say, hey guys, see you later. Good to see you at church this morning. Well, you can't even say that now. But my point is that should have been your attitude. Even with Ben, the first time in the hall, Ben, hey, it's okay, I understand, thank you. And as I shared with you, if you would have said, Ben, I'm very sorry that as your dad I failed, and it's come to this point where you don't want to have Father's Day dinner with me. It's my fault, and I don't want you to feel any obligation to go with me, and I don't want you to feel any guilt for not going. If you had just said that and walked out, oh my goodness, they would have said, what in the world has happened to our dad? He's changing.
You didn't hear all of what I said. I said things like that.
Okay, well, all that I'm saying is, but it's negated by following him around the parking lot to whatever degree. Those things that you did, even if you were kind and gentle and all that, everything that you did as a result of it, trying to give him an opportunity. You told me I was trying to give him an opportunity to change his mind. Well, no, if that's his mind, let it go.
Mm-hmm. And hang out with him.
I'm sorry?
And hang out with him.
Let it go and hang out with him?
No. I was giving him an opportunity to change his mind and hang out with him. I enjoy being with my son.
Okay, so we want it to be where he enjoys being with you too. That's what we're trying to work toward.
And without any experiences, positive experiences with me where I'm showing that it's okay for him to do whatever, how will he ever change?
Right.
But that's not what you're doing.
What he will know is that if you stay out of his face, you've changed.
Right, if I completely avoid being around his body, I have changed.
If you stay out of his face.
Let me give you the put off, put on from Ephesians 4. When Paul says, let no corrupt communication come out of your mouth, but build up. He says, let the thief who is stealing no longer steal. He doesn't say just don't steal and sit still. He says, do something positive.
That's
Work
right.
to give something away with your hands.
That's right.
So there's always the put off and put on. And my fear is that you're saying, I'm putting off. I'm not doing these things. They're not seeing a positive change. And unless there's a positive change, it's the still view that you
And they can see that positive change by having no contact with me. Yes.
They will see
you at church, and they will know that you're not harassing them, and that's the first step.
It is.
I understand.
What they'll see is they'll see you giving them space.
I have for the last 30 days.
Actually,
Being around, being apart from them isn't
that's not
space.
They have the space when they're...
Last Sunday wasn't space for Ben. 2 Sundays before that wasn't space for Grace. Those weren't giving them space.
He sat in worship apart from me. Okay. I understand how you guys see that.
And
I will
you apparently don't.
No, I do.
Well, I'm
I
saying-
understand what you're saying, how it can be perceived that way.
Right, but it doesn't mean that you agree with our assessment of it.
No, I agree that avoiding Benjamin is better.
That's still not...
No, I agree that I should have avoided, after Benjamin said no, that I should not have taken advantage of the opportunity to share time with him. I should not take advantage of the opportunity to spend time with him.
See, Mike, even that phrase, it's what do they call it? Passive aggressive. It's like, okay, you're telling me I can't talk to him, but what you're telling me is not to do something positive, but you're telling me that I am not able to spend time with my son.
Yeah.
And that's not
For
the
right
goal
now,
of
I am
what
not-
we're
I am
doing.
not
That's
too
not the goal
engaged.
of what we're doing.
I'm not
Our
too
goal
engaged.
is to mend the relationship so that they can feel like you're not going to be pouncing on them for whatever it would be, whether it's Grace in the kitchen or Ben not eating, having lunch with you, or whatever the case is. That's
I didn't pounce on him.
Okay,
And
well,
so
we
I
can
proved
parse
that.
words. We can
No, I'm not
parse
parsing words. You're saying pounce on him, and you're bringing that up as an instance. I didn't.
Okay. Pursue. Let's use the word pursue because you followed him. I'm sorry, Ben.
No, we all see that differently. When you were making yourself available, no. You were taking his time and making him focus on you.
No. I was just there.
When you're doing this by the Whitney's car, getting him to roll down the window,
Yeah.
that's controlling him.
I'm asking him to roll down the window so I can tell him something. What I told him was, as I said before, if you want to go have lunch at the Whitney's, it's okay. See, this is the positive, letting him know it's okay.
Didn't need that.
Okay, I was saying, it's okay, you can just tell me.
And he already
I'm
said
not-
in the hall, though, that he didn't want to go. So why would he want to?
No, well, he said, I'm not hungry, I've got stuff to do.
Well,
That's different from saying, I'm going to go spend lunch at the Whitney's. I'm like, hey, it's okay. And it was okay, and I left.
No, you followed him into the building.
No, at that point, I left and he left. That was the last thing, and then I left. Because I saw Mr. Whitney came out and you're hanging out. I'm like, okay, this is getting crazy now. You guys think something's going on, and nothing was going on, and nothing was going to happen. So I just
The time
left.
I'm talking about was when they...
Well, I got out of my car and walked over to you at that point. Remember?
No, yeah, I'm
That
not
was-
talking about the time before that. Because there was twice you went to the back of the parking lot.
They
I'm talking
were
about
taking
the
stuff
first
to the
time.
car.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, I get it. I won't hang out with them.
That's what I was talking about. You were grabbing his time.
I understand. I'm present with him. And I get it. I won't be present with him anymore.
And then when you came back to tell him it was okay, that wasn't to tell him it was okay. It was to put yourself right there to try to make him feel guilty.
I understand what you guys want me to do. I've communicated my intent, and you can, and you guys see how it's misperceived, and I agree with you. And so I'm agreeing to what you guys. I understand what you guys are saying, and I'm agreeing to it. Obviously, I'm glad you guys are agreeing with me that Mary Catherine shouldn't be going to a different church. I'm glad I initiated telling you guys so that you could act on that, and we're all in agreement here. So this is great.
This is, in my mind, actually, this is not a punishment. This is a positive step forward. This is the way I think that your family can feel safe here.
Yeah.
That's the first step.
Yeah.
After that, we can try to expand it to some other places,
Yes,
like dance or work or something.
I
But it's
understand.
got to start somewhere.
I understand.
And if you can prove it here, then you'll be able to prove it someplace else.
Yes, some months from now, I understand.
And right now, we're giving Mary Catherine and Beth and Grace the opportunity to show and see that you can control it, that you can, in fact, do it.
Yes, I can avoid and ignore my family. I can do that.
I know you said that you're up at 4 o'clock. You don't know how much time and sleep I've lost with this too. And these other guys. And the time. It's not just you.
You guys want me to avoid and ignore my family, and I will do that.
that's not.
That's
When
That's
they're
what
here in this
we
church,
said.
you said, do not initiate. I'm not going to initiate. I'm not going to do anything. I will ignore them. I will not show that I'm trying to interact with them. I will not do
You didn't say
anything.
that.
We're trying to help you. We're trying to do you a favor.
Okay.
This is what we're trying. Seriously.
I believe
This
I'm
is
trying to
what we're trying
repeat
to
back
do.
your orders.
But hang-
You don't
hang
want
on.
me to initiate contact. You
Mike.
don't want me to do. I won't do anything. I won't look over at them. I won't. I'm just trying to make sure, as you say, don't touch the lamp. I'm not going to do anything.
Okay.
Isn't that what you want me to do?
That is correct.
Mike,
So I'm just repeating so we
But
can
ignore
we
is
can
the wrong word.
Yes.
Ignore means I'm not going to pay attention to them. If you have a pain in your leg, you can ignore it because you want to do something else. I'm not going to look at them. If they want to contact me, I will let them contact me. I'm not going to let them feel, oh, he's looking at me. I'm not going to do anything, okay? That's what you want.
Mike,
I'm repeating back to you.
No, you're not. Mike, you know the words, but you don't know the tune.
Okay, please speak plainly. Don't use
Okay,
idioms.
okay. All right. Mike, what you're doing in trying to gin up positive experiences with your family is actually having the opposite effect of what you're intending.
I just said that. I hear you.
But hang on. But what you're saying here, the way you're framing it, you're taking what we're saying and you're framing it in negative, value-laden language.
I'm repeating back so that you clearly understand what I'm trying to, what you want me to do.
I
will
do clearly
not,
understand.
just
what
like
you're trying
some
to say.
other,
Respect bonds.
family that's the Joneses. I don't look at them. I don't pay attention to them. In essence, I ignore most people. I see them, but I don't look at them, right? I'm just letting you know so that you're relieved of any concern. I'm not going to do anything.
We don't want you to keep pushing your family away. That's what we're
I know,
trying to do.
I understand.
This is the perspective that
Okay.
that we have,
Okay.
and that we'd like you to have.
Okay.
But you obviously don't have that. You're looking at this as we're being unreasonable. It's
I
obviously not what
didn't
you're
say
doing.
that. I did not say that.
No,
And I'm not even trying to hint at that.
Okay, so you don't think that it's unreasonable for
I
us
think
to
based
say-
on the information you have received, you have made a reasonable decision.
Okay, but is there information that we need that would make our decision
I'm not
more
saying
in
that.
line with
I'm not saying that.
truth?
Please don't misconstrue what I'm saying.
Okay.
Based on the information you have made a reasonable decision.
Okay, but
That's it.
Is there other information that we need?
I'd like to progress from here before we do anything like that.
Okay, so
I'm not
so
questioning. I want to have this settled so we don't discuss it, so we can stop discussing this about me
would
contacting
more
my family.
information
No,
change
I'm not going to contact them.
our decision?
No, maybe in the future. I don't know. But as of this second, I hear you and I will obey. That's what and once we've agreed and we're done with that, then we can move on.
Well, I'd just say as well, it's not just our decision. I talked to George Kelly this week about it.
Yes, I know.
He's in agreement too.
Yes, we had a long discussion.
Okay, and I shared this with you, Mike, that at a session, at some point for reconciliation, see, there's repentance, reconciliation, and restoration. For those three things to happen, there has to be a change, there has to be interaction, and there has to be love and faithfulness. So we're going from this is very difficult to we're glad to be in each other's presence. And in order to make that happen, there's steps, and as Ben said, this is the first step. This is really the first step. And the session would love to have you and Mary Catherine sit down with George Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you have marriage counseling or any kind of counseling where somebody's, the partners or the husband or wife are going to different people, it never works. I have never seen it work because they're only hearing half the story. They're sharing their story, and
I know. I
unless
thought this
there's
should
one
have happened a long
person-
time ago, but Dr. Wolf is refusing to allow that to happen.
Okay, well, my point is this, that we want to have that happen.
Me too.
George Kelly wants to have that happen, but George Kelly said this to me, and this is exactly where all the elders are as well. We cannot ask Mary Catherine to sit in the room with you because we haven't seen any or enough change to have that happen. George said the same thing. I feel the same way. I feel like, you're making, here's how I believe this is how you're looking at it, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm accepting the fact that I shouldn't go home, so I'm staying with the Curtises or the McWethies or the Wags. And my family should know that I'm in compliance. I'm doing what they've asked me to do. I'm not coming home. So then on Sunday, you meet with them and you have this very tense situation with Grace. Last Sunday, you have this very tense, at least pursuant situation, maybe not tense, but a pursuant situation with Ben, rather than saying, okay, Ben, thanks in the hall, good. And so you've wasted 7 days. In your mind, you're like, man, I'm really climbing this mountain. And Sunday comes, and you're farther away than what you were. Do you
want me to show you the text that Ben had sent me 3 days prior to that? the loving texts of how he loved me. Maybe you see.
Well, it's Father's Day, right?
No, yeah, 3 days before Father's Day. Do you want me to show you? He's like, Dad, yeah, I appreciate the things you have done for us and showed us. And I'm like, wow, that is really great that he was saying things like that.
So-
I deleted him, so I was feeling very sad, and he let me know I really appreciated this thing. I thought, wow, this is really good.
So how do you
I was
feeling sad?
Huh?
How do you know you were feeling sad?
I was crying.
Okay, so did he send those to you
Well,
to help you out of your...
Before Father's Day, right?
yeah, this is before Father's Day. So he had sent a lot of, and I had said, well, okay, I'll see you, goodbye, Ben, because America said, we won't be coming to church here. Okay, so I won't be seeing you for a while. And I let him know, we won't be seeing you for a while. And we were texting back and forth. And so he was saying very nice things. So that is the background to Sunday.
Okay, and then you will.
I hear you, Ben, but my actions weren't in a vacuum, and I just want you to know that.
And I would say this, Mike, that if he meant those things 110%, he would have gone to lunch with you on Sunday.
Yeah.
Well, I think he could have meant them, but he might have had something to do.
Mm-hmm. The Whitneys invited him to lunch.
That's true.
Yeah. So apart, he wasn't.
And so that if you should have gone off with a good feeling, then you would have had another positive in the book. Remember
There
the
you go,
Bible
yeah.
discussion?
Again, I am settled with obeying what you guys have said. I'm just letting you know there was some
But
background
we-
stuff going on that you don't know, but it's okay.
kind of like our love for Christ. It's not because we're told we have to do it
Mm-hmm.
that we do it.
Mm-hmm.
We do it because we want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
We want you to have that same feeling about your interaction with your family. And it's going to have to start, not full-blown 24/7. It's going to have to start with just minutes,
Mm-hmm.
very short minutes,
Mm-hmm.
because the trust has been destroyed.
Okay. Again, there's no question on what you've asked, and I will do it. I'm glad that you guys have finally reached out to Mary Catherine, communicated to her she should not go somewhere else. We're in complete agreement.
So
I'm delighted.
Let me give you a couple scenarios, Mike. This direction says that you're not to initiate communication or conversation with the family. If they want to speak with you, they need to get an elder to come talk to you first, so the elder can do that at the beginning of the conversation and during the conversation. That's for several reasons. One, it will help us have a third view on what took place, and then we can then share that with George Kelly as to the interaction,
Mhm.
good or bad, that happened during the situation. But the direction says while in church or on the church property.
Mm-hmm.
So you happen to be pulling out of the drive, and you're coming this way, and Mary Catherine and the kids are pulling out of the drive, and you're right behind them. And so now you pull onto 8 Mile, and you're both heading.
I'm not in the parking lot, so that won't happen. I'm not parked in the parking lot,
Where'd you park?
off church property, so that there will be no interaction.
Okay. So my point was, I didn't want you to read this as a literalist to say, well, I wasn't on the church property in the church building.
Ralph.
We had turned on
I'm
8
going
Mile.
to ignore them.
We're trying to wave them over.
I'm going to ignore them.
So you're in the kitchen. Another scenario, you're in the kitchen, and Lori says, hey, Mike, Mary Catherine said that she would bring sugar to Lou next week. We're out of sugar.
Ben told Michael Whitney that I'm out of the home, and so he's communicated to them because Michael Whitney told Josh while he was still in boot camp that I'm out of the home. So Ben has spread the word.
Okay. But Lori says, hey, can you make sure that Mary Catherine gets served the reminder? What would you do with that?
I'll tell you guys to tell her.
Okay.
I'm going to ignore them.
But Mike, he's not the only one who's spread the word.
That's a different point. He's making one point, I'm agreeing, and that's fine.
Okay. I just didn't want you to say, well, Lori asked me to talk to Mary
No,
Catherine. so I
I'm going
walked up
to
her.
ignore them.
just trying to give you scenarios to think through. That
Ralph, I've thought through this and I completely understand what you're saying.
And the only reason, Mike, I don't mean to. I hope this isn't demeaning, but the reason why I've asked some scenarios and we've spent some time on this is because, as you know, we've had conversations. Mike, don't engage Grace, and then 20 minutes later, you've engaged Grace. This is when you were living at the house. Greg
Ralph,
had said to you.
I had a
Greg
great
said to you
meeting this
recently.
week with Melissa, a counselor here in Farmington Hills, and she's explained to me a lot about stress and the effect, and then when you're stressed and how that can create a very bad feedback where you have a lower threshold and a higher response. She's actually the first person to give me some real tools to start dealing with that.
Okay.
She's helped Colleen's daughter a lot, and so she referred me to her instead of Jacqueline. And so she's teaching me other techniques and explaining why things are happening like they are. And yes, being unemployed and a lot of other stresses and having for 5.5 months and running out of savings, and I was not dealing with that stress well, and I was getting adrenaline, lots of other stuff pumped into my system, but I need to calm down and not be in the fight or flight mode, which I was. And so I understand. I mean, we all have wives. Some women can be really crabby once a month, right? It's not their fault, but they need to learn how to manage that. Likewise, so do I. Because when I was having a bunch of chemicals pumped into my system because of stress, I need to learn to relax and stop letting that dangerous feedback loop continue. So I understand, Ralph.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm not trying to, as I said, demean you. I'm just
You're doing what you
based
you
on
understand,
what I've
based on
seen.
what
Your
you've been
typical
told.
response, and I will say this: that the typical response that I'm seeing is the typical response that your family's still thinking. Whether or not they're not seeing it because you're not in the house, they're still thinking that's the
I
response
know,
that
because
they're
we've had
getting.
no positive interaction.
Right.
We've not been allowed to.
But the reason
Well,
you
you
had
had-
positive interactions is because you've actually had negative interactions.
Mary
So-
Catherine says until the end of July. So we have had no, and we're not, and this was like 2 weeks ago she emailed, we're not allowed to have positive interaction.
Mike, we're trying to help you. We want this.
Okay, of course, please don't repeat that. I understand. I'm just letting you know, seeing positive interaction. I'm like, yes, in August we'll begin to start to do that. Because as of now, I'm forbidden by Mary Catherine from having any positive contact with them.
No, you can't have.
No,
it's not that
she
you're forbidden to have
specifically
positive
stated that.
contact.
I'm repeating
It's that
what
you're
she
not
said.
Having positive contact.
I'm
you're not-
repeating what she said in the
You don't have
email.
contact
I am not
already
allowed to
under
have.
those conditions.
No, I am not allowed to have positive contact.
No, it's not. It's not
That's
that.
the
It's
word positive
the problem. The
is
problem, Mike.
subjective.
Yeah,
Is
no
that-
recreational. That's
No
what.
contact.
Yeah.
You're not having positive contact. Your contacts that you're.
Do you want me to read the email? I'm just repeating word for word what the email
Yeah,
said.
I read the email.
Oh, okay,
The
I'm just.
contacts that you've been having up to now have actually set you back. So,
Well, I
under
understand.
the current circumstances, and given the way that you're thinking, and obviously the way you're thinking,
What is the way I'm thinking?
the way you're
You're thinking
thinking,
you did nothing wrong.
yeah, or at least nothing to warrant
No.
this kind of response.
No, I see how that my hanging out with my son like I've done for his whole life can be misperceived in this condition as.
No,
You know,
like I said, you're using a lot of value-laden language that communicates a perspective about what you're doing that doesn't line up
It isn't
with this
shared.
perspective of everybody else
Mhm.
who's close to the situation.
Mhm. I was feeling desire to hang out with my son.
I understand. I know the kind of language you're using, and what I'm saying is that you're communicating something. Like, don't plead the dictionary, Mike. You're communicating something more than the mere words that you're saying.
Well,
It's the words you're using that are communicating that you don't think that this response on the part of your family and that we as a session are supporting is warranted given
No.
your behavior.
didn't you hear me? I believe you're doing based on what you know is the right thing.
Yeah.
So what you just said is wrong.
Qualifier.
Yeah.
What you're saying is based on what you know, you would not have come to this conclusion. You'd be doing something differently. You would be home.
I'm not saying that. Please don't misunderstand me.
That's the way it sounds like to us.
I'm so glad you're here.
Then what are you saying?
I'm saying I'm in agreement with you guys. What you guys said. Can we finish this so we can move on?
But you're not actually saying that. You're qualifying it by saying, given what you know.
Yes.
But and I asked you, is there something more that we need to know?
Well, the main point of this
In
meeting
order
is
to
that I
be-
agree to what you're saying, and once we're done with that, then we can talk.
But
I want to make sure we're done with that. Are we done with that?
Mike, if there's something we need to know that's going to materially
That's not.
That might change this.
That's not going to change what's going to happen today with my family. I'm not going to interact with them. I'm going to ignore them.
But
I'm not going to initiate, and I'm not going to do anything. So I want to be settled with that before we do anything else.
Well, we want to treat you fairly. We want to
I
treat
understand,
everybody
and I want to
fairly.
stop talking about that. I want to have it settled so we can move on.
But this is material. I mean, if you're saying that there's material information that we're not privy to, then we need to be made privy to that information so that we can be fair, so that we can treat you fairly, so that we can treat your family fairly.
Well, I
and
want
do
you to
what honors
know
God.
from now on, I will do that. Now, if after I agree to this, we have some other discussion that will make you guys meet and change something for the future,
But why
that's a
put-
different
why-
thing.
Okay, why put this off? I mean, if there's something we need to know, then please tell us.
Okay, can we be settled that I agree to what you say?
Okay.
Yes.
Fine.
Okay,
we'll
good.
take
Yeah,
you.
of course
take
I'm
you at your
settled.
word.
So that I will ignore them today. I'm going to be up in the sound room,
Okay, but
and then when I'm done with church, I'm leaving.
But what we need to know, or if there's something we need to know, you need to tell us.
Right. So we're in agreement.
Okay, you've told us that you're not gonna initiate contact with your family.
Yeah,
On the property.
I'm agreeing what you're saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're saying that you're agreeing to do that.
Yeah, and I've already even demonstrated to Mary Catherine when I asked, can I stop by and get my bicycle so I can exercise? And can I give Melody a hug? And initially she said okay, but then she changed her mind and I obeyed. So I'm showing she can trust me. So
Now-
you don't know that, but now I've told you. So I have demonstrated, and
No,
I am
I knew
demonstrating.
that. I knew
And yes, I was feeling lonely and wanting to
Yeah.
hang out with my son, and I miss him. But you know what? I understand how in that situation it's misconceived, and based upon what you guys have been told, and other things, yeah. But I did not show any anger to him. I did not show any irritation at him. I only showed.
I can help him understand. 'Cause I know exactly what you guys are saying.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Because you're going around in circles,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah, it seems.
over and over.
Yeah, I know. I know. We've been doing this for a while now.
That
Yeah.
you believe, and I agree with you, that I should have just said, okay, Ben, and not taken that opportunity to hang out with him. And I agree.
But I would like you to tell us if there's something that we need to know that we don't know
Okay.
in order to be fair.
I will let
and
Colleen
honoring
speak.
this.
I will let Colleen speak.
Okay, so
Well-
Colleen, she can tell
Yes.
us what we need to know.
Yes.
They haven't really brought up the doctor
No. But I wanted that
And
settled
the-
before we
the
moved on.
illness.
Yes. Yeah.
But I think that what they're suggesting is really the way to go.
I agree, and that's what I told him. I agree. Hmm.
Then don't qualify your statement with based on what you know. Then we'll believe you.
Okay. I will agree to what you are saying. Is that settled?
No, that just says that you agree that we said it.
And I will obey it. Have you heard me say the word obey like 3 or 4 times?
Yeah,
Okay. What more do you want me to say?
that you understand why we're doing it.
I understand why you're doing it.
Okay.
I can help him.
Go ahead.
Okay, so we're settled. Now we can move on.
Because I agree with you guys. And I can help him understand.
Okay. Well, I'm grateful that you're willing to try to do that.
We've had hours and hours of very deep conversations this week.
Oh, okay.
She's a wealth of wisdom.
Okay. Well, that's good.
And so is Jim.
I slept through most of it.
But she has information that she would like to share with you all.
Okay, right now? Okay.
Well, the doctor, it appears that like she would make like these absolute statements.
Which doctor are we talking
I made recordings of the sessions,
Dr.
and
Wolf.
I sent her copies of the files, and she listened to them multiple times.
Of whose sessions?
With the doctor, with my wife. The first session where I brought my wife, and the second session where I brought my wife.
To who?
Dr. Wolf, the woman who is dictating all this. With
The
me moving out,
psychiatrist.
she's the one who told
I
my
don't know
wife
if
to move.
If I put it that way, Mike. I know, I understand what you think about
Please,
it,
please
but-
don't. I want to hurry. She is the one who has told my wife he must move out, and that's why I moved out.
Okay.
So I'm just letting you. Okay, just forget the. I went to this doctor for 4 or 5 weeks,
Yeah.
and I kept saying I don't want to be angry. And she kept saying it's okay to be angry. I yell at my teenagers. Yeah, I do that. And so I'm just letting you know. So I was seeing her, and she's like, it's okay. You're fine. It's okay to be angry. Yeah, I get irritated. I have teenagers. Yeah. So I'm like, and then after 4 weeks, she said, "Oh, I'm glad we're really making lots of progress." And then I said to her again, "Yeah, and I don't want to feel upset." And she goes, "I can see we're getting nowhere with you. You're not getting it. I need to bring your wife in. Can you invite your wife to come in next time?" I said, "Okay." And I brought her in, and I recorded the whole thing from the very beginning, and she heard it multiple times. And she's raised multiple red flags, and she's about to tell you.
Okay.
But that doesn't have bearing on, how do I say it?
What we're doing here today.
What you're doing here today and him being out of the house.
Okay.
But she wasn't very professional or respectful, and it was very one-sided part of the time. And she used absolutes that, I mean, I'm careful not to use the always, never, because they're not, most of the time they're not true.
You're right.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of language is damaging. Which I don't know what your view on this illness thing is. Her declaration that he's got that certain illness. I don't
Borderline
know.
personality disorder?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's true, and I don't know if she could determine that.
And so I'm going to make the files
But-
available to you.
But I think that it's good that he's not there.
Well,
We agree.
And I think that this
quite
is
frankly, I agree.
and I think that this is a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to try to help him understand the Ben thing.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried to help him understand the Grace thing, and
Well, thank you.
But we
She's
have
raised-
our reservations about Dr. Wolf.
She is.
oh,
Yeah, we don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have decided that George Kelly will be the guy that we're talking to, and he's taking the lead. And we're
So that's
My
good
wife
to
is
hear.
visiting Dr. Wolf weekly. You know that.
I didn't know it was weekly. I knew
Yeah,
she'd
every
seen-
Tuesday, 6:30 to 7:30.
that's a good thing to know that about their reservations about her.
Yeah. When she listened to that, she said most of what Dr. Wolf was doing was wrong.
And the good things that she said, she didn't really, she just threw them out. She like didn't explain or, I mean, it wasn't all bad.
Yeah. Now,
So I will make these available to you. You can listen. And this
I
why
think they already don't trust her.
yeah,
Well-
I mean,
We're not lining up with Dr. Wolf at home.
yeah,
Yeah.
that, just so you know.
That's a good.
my wife is. She looks at me and says, "You're sick," and she's telling Melody, "I'm sick."
Okay, what we're saying
It's not based on
to
her.
you lines up with what we're saying to the rest of your family. We're not saying one thing to you and another thing to the rest of your family. So
My wife is operating under the conception that I'm full-blown mentally ill, and this is going to take months and months before I can, and so when you like you say I'm schizophrenic, well, that has then you got to do these things. So she's hook, line, and sinker, done that. And after her listening to the 2 sessions, she's like, this woman is not right. She is totally off.
I'm not convinced of that.
I know, that's why I'm going to make it available to you.
No, but what I mean is I'm not convinced that Mary Catherine has this perspective that you're
She
talking
looked me in the eye and said, you are ill.
When did she say that last?
We were at Panera Bread.
When?
Well, I didn't meet this week. They're in South Carolina. So it must have been last week. She looked me in the eye and said, you are mentally ill. You need help.
You said it was early June. I thought.
Yeah.
Before you
So it would have been
moved
about
with
3
us.
weeks ago.
But so she does that, and Melody told me when the family was here last. Mom said you're sick. And so.
Did your mother-in-law say that too?
Oh yeah, my mother-in-law said, Mary Catherine says you are mentally ill. You need help. So yeah, of course, if I'm schizophrenic, well then that's a diagnosis, and but
I didn't hear anything about schizophrenia.
I'm giving an example. Or diabetic. If I'm diabetic, then there's certain things that must happen. So this is what she's telling the family, and this is how she's operating. And after she listened to that, she's like, she kept going, I can't believe she just said these things. She's a professional. She's not a professional.
We have asked
We're gonna leave
professionals.
that up to George,
Yeah.
because he's the professional, not us. And so we're not putting that in the conversation.
Great. I'm going to email all of you
We
links so
don't-
that you can hear it. But she is shocked.
But
I
they
don't-
aren't even considering
That-
Dr. Wolf's.
I know, but my wife is.
Yeah, but you're talking to them.
Yeah, but we're out and we're dealing with Mary Catherine as well, right? So
You are her spiritual overseers. That is correct.
yeah, and so
She's getting input from a woman who has.
well, but she's also getting input from us, and the input that we're giving her is from what you've told me anyway, not necessarily lining up with what Dr. Wolf is saying. So what I'm saying is that we're not. It's not like we're sitting here backing up everything Dr. Wolf says. We're
My
not.
wife is.
Yeah, but like I said, we're
But
talking.
that can't be
about-
settled here.
I understand, and I'm going to let you judge for yourself. And I'm going to
Your
send
wife
a.
has agreed to follow what we ask.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a blessing.
Yeah, I'm
It
so
is.
thankful that you guys are in agreement with me that it was wrong for them to go somewhere else, and that something needed to happen.
Either.
That it's not good. That it's.
Just don't try to put words in our mouth. Listen to what
I'm glad you guys have taken some action so that this can happen. I'm just letting you know, I'm glad.
We don't want to run your family away from you.
Again, that's settled. I don't want to talk about that anymore. I want to talk, again, we were on the new information,
There's
where
some
my wife
information about-
is now being completely fed something and totally acting
Well,
on
that
it.
statement's probably inaccurate, like what you're saying, totally fed and completely buying. And that's not accurate.
My
3
mother-in-law,
weeks ago.
whom I was with this week, as you know,
Yeah.
said, Mike, you are ill.
Okay. Well, maybe Mary Catherine and she haven't had any conversations yet.
No,
but
she has.
We,
And my daughter has told me I'm
in the
ill.
last week.
Why would she change Mary Johnson?
Well, there's conversations that have gone on between us and Mary Catherine that if Mary Catherine didn't have time to talk to Mary Johnson would think Mary Catherine's position is what it was 3
Have you
weeks ago.
asked her to stop thinking of me as mentally ill?
I haven't had that conversation.
Okay, then that's what she has told the family, and that's how
Well,
she's
she-
operating.
okay.
And based upon what Colleen has heard, she's shocked.
Yeah, so here's my point. My point is that as we look at, George Kelly, and as I've talked to him, I'll give you a quote. I said, George, we're hearing from Ann Arbor that Mike has a mental illness, and we're looking at it as a behavioral issue, an issue of sanctification, an issue of righteousness, an issue of non-provoking, an issue of love for his family, an issue of how he interacts with his family. Is this diagnosis, George, is it a mental issue or is it a behavioral issue? George said, if it was a mental issue, they could give a drug for it. He said, it's a behavioral issue. So that's exactly what we were thinking. That's exactly what George said. That's the direction we're going. That's the direction we are talking to Mary Catherine about. She might find comfort at the moment in Dr. Wolf's diagnosis, because the diagnosis of steps, and I'm not speaking for Mary Catherine, I'm only just saying, Ralph, if you were in her shoes, what would you think? She is probably putting more confidence in a 10-step program to fix Mike's mental illness than the patient transformation of a life through the power of the Word of God and the Holy Spirit working in your life. I don't know if she's thinking that at all. I can't say that that's the case, but when you're really looking for hope and you've seen your husband for...
You grasped.
Pardon me?
You grasped at that.
Sure.
Yeah, at anything. And so I haven't had this conversation with Mary Catherine because we were on vacation last week. But the bottom line is we are looking at this as a behavioral issue, and we're praying and expecting that God will change your heart, your actions, your words, your treatment of people, to where that your family actually experiences the love that they need to experience and the security in your presence. So.
Yes, and so for the next 40 days, I will have no contact with them, no opportunity to build any positive, showing any.
And that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
That
Why?
is the positive.
Yeah. Yes.
Mike, that is the positive. It will show that you can control it.
Yes.
Right now, what they've seen is you can't control it. You're like an alcoholic.
I've controlled
that
it
when
last
you
Sunday,
get in
Ben.
there, you just can't stop. This will prove that you can.
I understand, Ben.
Time is your friend.
That is
I understand
your
that.
positive.
I understand.
Don't say no positive contact. That is the positive contact. They will see you in church. You will see them. They will know that you are not bothering them. They will know that you can control it. That is a step, the first and a very big step.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't do that, then they'll say, see,
I understand.
there's something wrong. You
I
can't
understand.
do it.
I understand. I understand. That's.
Do
I'm
not
not.
say no
Okay.
positive contact,
You're okay. I won't say that.
because it is not true.
Okay.
And if you're thinking that way, you're trying to find a way out.
I'm not
You're
trying.
not buying into what we're telling you.
I am. I will obey what you're telling me.
And why?
I've obeyed because that is showing that I can obey and not show contact to them and give them space,
And why is that good?
because they want to feel that I am not going to get irritated with them and show I'm upset with them.
Now, remember, you and I...
Like I did last Sunday. I did not get irritated
You can
or
get-
upset with
You
him.
can get irritated, you can get upset. It's how you react to that
Yes,
that counts.
And I did not react.
That is what they're causing.
that's right, and I demonstrated that last Sunday. I did not react.
Okay.
I didn't say, Ben, you must come with me. I didn't do any of that.
That was one. Now, how many did when we talked about attaboys,
Mhm.
how many is it going to take?
10. Someday I'll be able to give him an attaboy.
That last Sunday was an attaboy on his case.
Yeah, I said,
On
okay.
his side, but not yours.
And that's right. And so someday I'll be able to speak to them, and that kind of interaction. I'm just saying, Mary Catherine sent an email. The end of August, they will see if they want to. So 40 days from now, I get the opportunity to maybe speak and have that kind of interaction. So I won't say the word positive, but I can. The only positive I have is to have no contact. So that positive interaction I'm going to demonstrate, but I don't have the opportunity to have interaction with them.
And that's a good thing. Less is
I've
more.
already been
Repeat
doing.
with me. Less is more.
Less is more. I have been already doing that for 30 days.
Yeah.
I have not
But
been
that
there,
hasn't, you haven't built any positives in 30 days.
and I'm not going to any the next 30.
Yes, not communicating or interacting with them is a positive.
And I've been doing that.
Yeah, you won't be digging the hole deeper.
Right. I have been doing that.
Not for 30 days.
Not for 30 days.
So I don't go to the home. And she said,
maybe.
don't. So the last 2 weeks, because Ben was here last week. That was it. Okay.
Yeah, but that one threw.
That's an iffy one anyway.
Okay, do you see what I'm saying? That okay, yes, I agree, but here at church, but to say, yeah, for the next 40 days, we're not going to try and facilitate. And since she's going with the diagnosis and the doctor's telling her, cut them off, I just don't have any opportunity to have. We can't have recreational companionship. We can't meet and have go to a movie. I invited, hey, let's go see Wonder Woman. No, we can't.
And that's fine.
It is.
But
That's the best. That's the step, Mike. That's the step. See, that's what I'm hearing from you. I don't think you're buying that this is a good plan.
No, it is a step, but I don't think it should be, okay, next in 2018, we can then start to have conversations. Would that be,
No.
See, why make things longer than what they need to be?
Because you haven't built
Because
any
you haven't-
confidence.
Do you understand what I'm saying, Ralph?
Yeah, and I would say
Yeah.
back to
Okay, how about-
why don't you make it
understand why
quicker?
we can't buy that? Did you not tell Dr. Wagler that you would not email
Mary
your
Kay.
wife? And then an hour later, you did?
I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, that happened all in the last week. So you're telling us one thing, and I'm sorry, and Mike, again, this is how every one of us has seen it. George Kelly, people who are trying to help you see it. I would say, Mike, don't
Okay.
engage Grace at all.
I'm
And then
not
I get a
going
phone
to.
call from Mary Catherine. They're having this conversation, Ralph. Can you just come over or talk or something? And I'm like, okay, what am I doing? Can I get more of that? And so I get you on the phone, and I said, Mike, you just told me that you weren't going to engage her. Greg told us with him, and he wanted to be here, but he got called into an emergency surgery. Otherwise, he would be sitting here. So I apologize on his
That's fine.
behalf. He wanted to be here because he could say, Mike, I told you, don't interact with her, don't send an email. And you said, okay, Greg, I won't. And then you did. Within an hour later, he's copying on an email that you typed to her. So I'm sitting here thinking, yeah, Mike says he's got it, says he won't interact, says he's parked over there. But if it's a question in my mind whether or not you're going to do it, I know it's a question in your family's mind.
Well, she's being told by a woman who she's completely
Let's not talk
trusting.
about her. Let's talk about you.
I'm
Let's
agreeing.
talk about you. Let's forget
Yeah.
Mary Catherine. Let's talk about Mike.
She's being worked up into a frenzy right now. So,
But Mike, it's not by Dr. Wolf. It's by you.
well, actually, Colleen thinks differently, and when you
Well-
listen to it, you'll understand.
No, I understand. I understand what Dr. Wolf is saying, but if there's nothing in Mary Catherine for her words to resonate with, none of this would be happening. Mary Catherine, and the reason that her words are resonating with Mary Catherine is because of the way you're going about this. So this is you. Like,
Okay.
you can't. As long as you're looking at Dr. Wolf as the instigator of this, she's the one who's manipulating your wife like she's a puppet or something like that. Then you're never going to get to what's really causing all this, which is you.
Oh, I am working on me. Colleen
No.
can testify to this. Please don't. You're wrong. Colleen can testify to this.
I'm
I am
not
working on me.
wrong.
You say I'm not going to be working on me. I have.
No,
been.
no, you have you're not working.
That's not what he said.
He says, as long as you're focused on this, I'm not going to be working on me. But
No,
I
I'm
have.
saying
been.
you're not going to see the problem for what it is, and you're not going to do the things that you need to do to change in
Unless
the way
you
you
buy
need to
into
change.
it. Unless you buy into what we're saying, you're not going to change.
Like,
I am
this
buying
is
into
not
what
Dr.
you're
Wolf,
saying.
This is you.
I am buying into what you're saying.
Okay, but you're not. You're not buying into what we're saying. Everything you're telling us is saying Dr. Wolf is the one who's behind all of this. She's the one that's manipulating Mary Catherine. And so you're sitting here like this passive victim of Dr. Wolf.
Mhm.
And that's not true, Mike. What's going on is you are conducting yourself in such a way as to push your family away from you.
Okay.
And that's all on you. It's got
Okay.
nothing to do with Dr. Wolf.
Okay, great. So, again, if in addition to the positive non-contact ignoring my family, if you think it is great to not facilitate any other positive interaction so that there's nothing to build on for the next 40 days other than
No,
ignoring them.
That's not it. What,
No, that's
you're
purely what I'm
going
saying.
Deeper, and you've been doing that for the last 30 days. We're telling you, put the shovel down for a while.
Yes, I will ignore them. And if you think
No, that's
ignoring
not-
them and not having any
What I'm
positive
saying is that
interaction other than ignoring
it's
them.
better for you to back off
Yes.
and leave them alone than it is to make the situation worse.
Yes.
Which is what you've been doing. So that's all we're trying to do here, Mike. We're trying to tell you, stop making the situation worse, because that's what you're doing.
Okay, I hear you. Are you hearing me?
Yeah, I am
Yeah,
hearing
we
you.
do.
And that's why I'm saying what I'm
Okay,
saying.
that's what I'm. Okay, I am pleased to completely ignore them. Please stop thinking I'm not going to do that. I'm delighted to obey so that they're happy. I'm just saying to say for the next 40 days, as
That's
Mary
not what I'm
Catherine.
talking about, Mike.
The-
I'm talking about what it is you're
I'm talking about going from here
you're saying-
forward.
But you come here, you come to us and you say, yeah, okay, I guess I'm going to have to suck up the fact that for the next 40 days I'm not going to have any opportunity to have any kind of positive experience with my family.
That's right.
Right? And what I'm saying to you is, Mike, you couldn't have a positive experience with your family even if you wanted to. You're not capable of it right now.
I don't like that absolute statement.
What's that?
I don't like your absolute statement.
Well, okay, you can like it or not
Based
like it.
on the last
But
5 events.
We're looking at how you've conducted yourself over the past 30 days, and you've consistently shown that you are not capable of having a positive experience with your family. The opportunities that you've had to have positive experiences with your family have all gone badly,
Mhm.
and they've all gone badly because of how you've conducted yourself.
Okay.
So, Mike, before you can actually have a positive experience, there has to be a sea change in your attitude, the way you look at this situation. And that's not happening. So we're like, this is why I'm saying
I'm in
we're trying to
agreement
help
with
you.
Melissa, who I met with this week. She thought it was outrageous that there's no facilitating any other positive interactions.
Okay,
So she's a licensed professional. She's like,
we're
she-
just
she-
She doesn't have all the information.
no, she doesn't. But I was completely opening up to her everything, and so
put
I'm
down the
just.
shovel for a while anyway.
That's all we're asking.
Oh yeah, I'm going to. And if you're in
We
agreement
can-
that
we
it's
can-
beneficial that there's no other positive interactions for 40 days.
Now,
Okay,
remember,
they gotta be positive though,
we
Mike.
gave Mary Catherine and your family the opportunity to
Yes.
have that contact.
And
And they will do that
if
if
they
they feel safe.
right,
And it's their
Now-
choice.
right.
And they will do that.
She's
They will
under
want to do
instructions by her provider to not have them. She's actually said, you will not do that. And she said, we cannot have them.
that. Her provider hasn't heard what we're doing.
I know.
You think that's correct? So maybe that will change too.
Well, Mike, here's the only thing that we have to wrap this up because we're
It's almost time for church.
Mhm.
Yeah. As Paul said, this is designed to give you every opportunity to give us a positive experience, to be able to share with George Kelly, to be able to share with Mary Catherine, to be able to build on something that we can say, Mike is complying, he's listening, he is doing what we've asked him to do.
And he's able to control himself.
That's what we're looking for.
Mhm.
And
Again, that was the settled thing.
yeah, I know. I'm wrapping it up. So I'm saying that's all we're asking. We're trying to help you. And I don't know how to say this. I hate to put a dark cloud over your head, but if you blow this, I don't know what else to do.
Mhm.
I really don't. I don't know what else to do because I have confidence by the Spirit of God and the power of the gospel that you can do this.
Mhm.
And if you can't, then we'll see what happens. I don't know what to. I really don't know what to say.
You don't have
I've
a
got.
plan B.
Pardon me.
You don't have a plan
Right.
B.
I have thoughts of plan Bs, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not even going there because I
don't even need to
wanna
worry
look
about
at
that.
right
I'm just
now.
saying it would ache your heart if you were forced to be away from your wife for a month.
Again, that's not the point.
Yeah.
The point is that you understand why you're away from your wife,
Mm-hmm.
and if you understand
'Cause I
that
didn't
it's
handle
your
that
fault,
stress well.
right? If you understand, well, again, it's more than stress. I mean, anyway, I understand.
Remember when we discussed about if you love something,
Let it go. I'm letting her go.
okay, let's see what happens.
Yes, this is a complete change in the way I get to
but you're doing it because you love her,
Mm-hmm.
not because you're told to do it or else.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the right thing.
It's the right thing.
And so through ignoring her, she will feel
Because we
loved.
also talked about sometimes you love something so much that you grab onto it and you squeeze the life out of it.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta stop that.
All right. Jim, do you want to pray? Why don't you close our time of prayer?
Most merciful and gracious Heavenly Father, we're thankful we could meet together this morning. We're thankful for your word and the meaning your word has. We pray, Father, that you would speak your word to us in our hearts, that you would heal relationships, whether they be with husband and wife, with father and son, mother and daughter, father and daughter, etc. We pray, Father, that these may be healed, that we would take heed to the things which were spoken, that we would respect one another, respect each other's personal space. We pray, Father, that we would grow in your word, and that you would be with him who is to proclaim your message this day, that it would have an effect on us, that we would have something that can carry us through the weeks and months and years ahead. We pray in Jesus' name, for his sake alone. Amen.
Thank you.
Really.
I appreciate your prayers.